So, I recently rewatched Turning Red. I'm gonna be 100% honest with you guys and say that I really thought the movie was at first. When it first came out, I thought, holy moly, this pacing is way too fast. And also, I felt like I was watching two movies in one. It honestly felt like a Bollywood movie. But now Turning Red is almost a year old. Wow, time flies fast. And I'm 17 now. I've matured a little more. Hopefully. So imagine my surprise when I rewatched this movie and my rating went from a 6 out of 10 to an 8 out of 10. Yeah, I could not believe it either, and I actually cried this time. However, I think the reason why that happened is because I watched it with a new perspective. I thought about my parents. I mean, I think about them all the time, duh, but I thought about their lives more deeply. And because of having that new perspective, I've become more happy that this movie exists. I mean, of course, we still have Encanto, which focuses more on the generational trauma part. But when it comes to Turning Red, I love the fact that it focuses more on change and growing up. However, I have to admit, this movie has its flaws. But we'll get more into those as we go through the video. So let's talk about Turning Red. Has it aged well after a year? And what things have changed for me? This is a review, or analysis, whatever you want to call it, of Turning Red. Let's get into the story of the movie, shall we? Turning Red is about 13-year-old Maylin Lee. She is super confident and also gets very good grades at school. Her friends are Miriam, Priya, and Abby. Miriam has a lot of similarities with May herself. Priya is like a goth girl who loves vampires, and Abby is a loud and super hyped one. I am so glad that Turning Red depicts teenagers as, oh my god, teenagers? Back in middle school, I had a friend like Abby that was super loud like her, and I even had bullies like Tyler who would take out their insecurities on me. I don't know why, but for some reason lately, I have seen way too many teen movies and shows depict teenagers as supermodels who look like they're in their 20s or 30s. So I'm glad this movie exists, because we need to normalize that type of stuff with teenagers. Teenagers are cringy, awkward, and loud, and that's perfectly okay. I was like that when I was 13. I loved Warrior Cats, My Hero Academia, and Harry Potter. I would constantly listen to freaking My Chemical Romance and Melanie Martinez, and I would make cringe OCs. I bet you guys probably did cringy things too as teens. Moving on, while May may seem like this perfect teenager, she has one big flaw. A lot of her life and personality revolves around her mother Ming. At the start of the movie, May talks about how we should always honor our parents. She even calls them supreme beings. This is important because it plays an important role in the themes of the story. She honors her mother so much that in the movie she even admits that sometimes her moves are also her mother's. So now we already know that this movie is going to be about a conflict between a mother and a daughter. Let's see how this plays out. After we're introduced to the whole setup, we go to a scene where May starts to draw pictures of her and a boy she has a crush on. That's from the Daisy Mart. This scene is super relatable to me because I love to draw myself with Saul Goodman. Hold on, who put that in the script? What I meant to say is that this scene is very relatable to me because I used to draw cringy things like that as a kid. Because of this scene made me laugh so hard. Like, oh my god, it was super funny. However, the fun ends quickly because Ming comes into her room, checks a notebook full of lovey-dovey drawings, and goes haywire. She gets into her car with May, goes to the Daisy Mart, and runs toward the cashier, where the boy is, by the way, and shows all of May's drawings to him and everyone inside the market, ultimately embarrassing her. That is wild, oh my goodness. Once that whole act is over, though, she gets into the car and tells May that the boy will never go near her again. It is very clear that Ming thinks May is a perfect little girl who can't do anything wrong, and it just hurts May more and more because she places such high expectations on her. We then go back to their home and see May sleeping and having nightmares. This leads into May becoming the iconic red panda, which is very clearly a metaphor for puberty. The funny part about this scene is that Ming confuses it with a period. Also, it's very good to normalize those things to kids. When this movie came out, for some reason parents had an uproar about that. I was very surprised by this. I thought periods were normalized already, but I guess not. By the way, I got mine when I was around 9 to 10 years old, and I already knew what periods were at 5 years old, so teaching kids about periods is okay, and it can actually help others prepare for periods instead of getting freaked out by them. Additionally though, this scene really highlights how Ming treats May as some child she wants to protect her whole life. Because in this scene, she is already explaining to her what periods are, even though she should have known about that at a much earlier age. Ming continues his pattern of hiding things from May throughout the movie, because as soon as May goes back into her room, she has to figure out how to handle the panda by herself. I've had friends and family tell me stories about how they had to navigate their puberty by themselves because people would hide these types of situations from them or not educate them about these things at all, and that just makes going through puberty much harder. So I'm glad this movie exists to educate kids about those things. This lack of knowledge from May continues as she goes to school. Once she gets to class, she sees that her mom is hiding behind a tree to look through the window of the class to check on her. Fun fact, by the way, Domashi, the director, said in an interview that this is something that actually happened to her.
So like that scene where May's mom follows her to school and hides behind a tree with sunglasses on, that actually happened to me on my first day of middle school, and it forever haunts my dreams. So I just had to put it in the movie.
This is nice because we get to see a whole new perspective of how someone's childhood was like. Moving on though, due to this happening, May starts to panda out and cause destruction throughout the whole town. We even get the infamous Awuga scene that I love so much. Once May goes back home, she finally discovers that the red panda runs in the girls of the family. This is because their ancestor, Sun Yi, asked the gods to turn her into a red panda. She did this to fight armies so she could protect her village and family. She then passed down this gift to her daughters, which would ultimately be passed down to the future generations. Now that's an issue because in the modern day, this panda is not useful anymore. So they have to do a ritual on the red moon to put the panda in some sort of necklace to keep it away. Because May would have to learn to control her emotions to keep the panda at bay, and that's just going to cause chaos. So Ming goes on to tell her that it happened to her too, and rightfully so, May gets disappointed that her mother didn't tell her these things. The protectiveness of Ming still continues, as she tells May that she's just a child, and if she kept vigilant of her, she would have noticed the signs and could have even been ready for what was about to come. But just like in real life, that's not how puberty works, because it is an unpredictable mess. We later find out the reason why she treats May this way. But before we get into that, I need to talk about the scene where May learns to control her panda. So her friends go to her house and tell her that their favorite boy band, Four Town, is coming to Toronto. This then causes them to discover that May can turn into a red panda. They also tell her that the concert is happening on May 18th, which is a whole week away before her ritual on the 25th of May. This makes May sad because she thinks that she can't go due to her not being able to control her panda. However, her friends sing a song and the panda goes away. So now every time she needs to calm down her emotions, all she has to do is think about her friends. Due to this, she asks her mother to go to the concert. Predictably though, her mother says no. May gets angry and storms off to her room. This then leads Ming to get a call from someone, which turns out to be Ming's mother. When Ming picks up the phone, we see how nervous and scared she gets, as if she's terrified of breaking a perfect facade for her mother. She doesn't even want to accept the help her mother is offering to help May with the panda. She just wants to handle it all by herself. And it makes you wonder, what happened between them? Is Ming's mother the cause of Ming's overprotectiveness of May? Well, my friend, we will have to wait and see till the very end. Later on in the movie, the girls are mad that their parents didn't let them go to the concert. After some shenanigans with dodgeball, they go to the bathroom to find ideas on how they are going to get the money for the tickets. However, the idea suddenly comes by accident, because some students suddenly walk in and instantly fall in love with the panda. So, they come up with the idea to sell the panda and raise money for the tickets. So a lot of really fun scenes start happening with the characters. We see May taking pictures with students wearing red panda ears and tails, and also wearing panda shirts. I just love it when a movie can just chill out and have fun. Moving on though, Tyler, the bully, starts to blackmail May by threatening to snitch on her to her mom. However, he asks for a favor. He wants to throw a cool birthday party that heavily involves May's panda. She agrees to it, but under one condition. He has to give her $200. He says yes. Sure, her friends are wary at first, but they come around. As soon as May is about to leave for the party, May's grandma and her aunts barge into the temple to introduce themselves. Once we get to the scenes where they are hanging out at the house, we can see how scared and careful Ming is, as if she's scared to slip up. Heck, it even surprises the aunts that May can even control her panda, because they gave a brief mention on how big and scary Ming's panda was. May then goes to sneak out to Tyler's party, but before she could do that, she gets warned by her grandma about the panda. She tells her that the more she lets it out, the more bound she becomes to the panda, which, by the way, gives her less of a chance to be successful in the ritual. Her grandma even tells her that she and Ming used to be close, until Ming let out her panda and gave her the scar on her face, which caused their relationship to dwindle. She doesn't want the same thing to happen to Ming and May. But May doesn't listen. Instead, she goes to the party and goes wild. Not gonna lie, these party scenes are super fun, but I'll get more into those later. So, the party leads to trouble because the girls find out that the concert isn't on the 18th, but instead, it's on the same day as May's ritual. This causes May to go berserk and attack Tyler, which then leads to Ming walking in on the whole ordeal. After this, Ming starts to blame May's friends for putting things into her head and ruining her. Instead of May being honest to her mother, she throws them under the bus and ultimately betrays them. She gets in the car with her mother, leaves her friends disappointed. Then we get to the ritual. Before the ritual though, we get a heartfelt scene with May and her father. Her father tells her that Ming and her mom got in a big fight over him, causing May to turn into the panda. He tells her that her panda was super big, that it almost took out the temple. After that, May's father tells her something that really got me quite emotional. He tells her that people have different sides to them, including the ones that are imperfect, and that the point isn't to push them away, but instead make room for them. Live with it. This got me really emotional because at this point in the movie, May is learning that her parents aren't perfect and that Ming was once 13 years old as well. I'll get more into detail on that in the themes part of this video later though. During the ritual, May realizes that the panda is a part of her and that it's something that she just can't let go. She has a bunch of flashbacks of the good moments she had with the panda, so she tells her family that she is keeping it, causing her to run away to the concert. This then leads Ming's necklace to break, which causes her panda to come out. But before Ming's Godzilla panda can destroy the concert, May says sorry to her friends, and they instantly forgive her because Miriam had been taking care of her Tamagotchi, causing their friend group to get back together again. And I guess Tyler joins the group as well. One thing I want to point out is that this scene goes by way too fast. Like her friends just forgive her so quickly. I thought there was going to be some sort of stakes. Maybe they could have changed the forgiveness part to the end, because the big panda scene could really give May a chance to prove to her friends that she really cares about them. Also, forgiving Tyler too quickly was somewhat dumb, but I'm going to excuse it here, because according to Domashi, the director, she said there were a lot of scenes of Tyler that were cut out of the movie. My theory? I think Tyler was supposed to be a gay character originally, but Disney cut those parts out because, well, we all know how Disney treats these characters. I mean, Pixar sent a whole letter about it to Disney. So it really sucks because Tyler and May becoming friends with this secret would have worked in the movie and would have actually helped with the bullying problem we have in our society a little bit more. Anyways, I hate corporate meddling so much, but let's continue on. Ming's Godzilla panda starts destroying the concert, which causes both May and Ming to confront each other. Then May starts twerking at her mother. Okay, when I watched the movie for the first time, I was embarrassed by this, but now I just find it funny. Then May gives her mom a big punch, which leads her to fall down unconscious. May starts to pull her to the circle, but then her family turns into pandas to help her. They all get in the circle, start floating in the air, and go back to the forest where they gave up their pandas. But we don't see an adult Ming. We see a child version of Ming that is vulnerable and crying. This genuinely made me cry this time. I'll get deeper into this scene later though. Ming tells May that her mother is always expecting her to be perfect all the time. It's like she'll never be as great as her mother wants her to be, which is exactly what May is going through. So May tells her that she knows how she feels, but she tells her that that isn't the case. So they hold hands and walk through the forest, leading Ming to confront her mother. But instead, her mother gives her a hug and basically apologizes to her through this hug, metaphorically saying, "I'm sorry that I did a lot of damage to you, and you didn't deserve all that pressure put on you as a child." So now everyone accepts that May is going to keep the panda. But before they leave, Ming asks May to come with her. But May says no and basically tells her that she is growing up and becoming her own person. However, she is scared that growing up is going to separate her and her mother. Ming also has the same fear, but she tells her she understands her because she went through that before. And then she apologizes for teaching her to always be perfect all the time and have all this pressure placed on her. Therefore, telling her to not hold back for anyone. She cries and says to her, "The farther you go, the prouder I will be." She leaves, and then we get a scene of May and Sun Yi flying together in the forest. We then go back to the temple and see that their relationship has changed, but it has actually gotten better. Ming is more open to her friends, and May uses the panda as some sort of mascot for the temple. Also, we see that they have to make money to pay for the damages they did to the stadium, so that was kind of funny. At the end, we see that Ming and May joke around, with Ming telling May, "You're not going out like that, young lady," and then May says, "My panda, my choice, mom," which they then laugh off at the end. Okay, but they could have actually made this scene better by doing this meme. Like, come on guys, you missed an opportunity! We then get a final message with May saying, "We've all got an inner beast. We've all got a messy, loud, weird part of ourselves hidden away, and a lot of us never let it out. But I did. How about you?" So guys, the whole message of the movie is to be cringe but free. Nah, I'm just joking. The message goes deeper than that. But before we get to the themes, we must talk about this expressive and stylized animation and very odd pacing. Turning Red's animation is not your typical type of Pixar animation. And you know what? I love that. I love how exaggerated the expressions are in this movie. Like when May got embarrassed at the Daisy Mart, you could really see how scared and terrified she felt with that expression. And also, when they see something cute, their eyes get so big and detailed. I love it. The movements are also very entertaining. I loved how the kids dance at the party in a fun but awkward way, since that is a very common thing in teenagers. Additionally, the colors at the party were also so vibrant and beautiful that it made things fun. There's also the scene where May jumps to the concert, and you can clearly tell how much influence anime had on this movie with that specific scene. The slow motion looks great. It's just so epic, and the forest just looks so pretty. Moreover, I love how exaggerated May's imagination is. Like when she thinks of a boy band, it is romantically crazy and funny, because that's just how I was for real. Finally, I thought May's panda was super cute. I love the panda so much that I even bought a Funko Pop of her. I bring the animation up because I like to see different art styles from a studio, especially from Pixar. And after seeing Puss in Boots and Into the Spider-Verse, I just want to see movies get their own animated styles and take advantage of the medium. I don't want to see real life anymore, it's boring. And that's why I'm glad that Turning Red and Luca were successful in their own capacity, because it could really motivate Pixar to have fun with their animated movies, you know? Okay, I'm not going to lie, but the pacing of this movie goes by a little too fast. May learns how to control her panda instantly when her friends sing a song, which, to be honest, felt kind of rushed. Maybe make the scene longer by having May's friends figure out how to calm her down that isn't just her singing. Also, as I stated before, her friends forgiving her was also very rushed, and I honestly wish that they stayed mad at her for a little longer before she could prove to them in a big way that she actually still cares about them. That's about the only problems I had with this movie. Everything else is perfectly fine. Okay, let's finally talk about the themes. I saw some people on this site miss the entire message of Turning Red. Like, I saw some people say that the movie teaches kids that we have no flaws and that we are perfect all of the time. And if you got that message from the movie, did we even watch the same movie? Huh? No, the message of the movie is that we're not perfect. This includes our parents. In the beginning, May calls her parents supreme beings. However, our parents are not supreme beings, and I think that's a wonderful message to teach kids. Our parents probably act a certain way because of the way they were raised. They probably have some trauma that they keep down deep inside, but don't show it or talk about it to keep a perfect facade for their kids. This is why I cried when they showed the young Ming. It's clear that she never got to face her trauma or even recover from it until the very end of the movie. And I think about my parents for a second and tell myself, God damn, my parents were that age too. And they probably also went through a lot of things too. I also love that the scene gives importance to that. Turning Red focuses on letting go as well. It gives a message to the parent that someday your kids are going to grow up to be their own adults. They're going to have their own personalities, interests, and friends, and they won't rely on you so much anymore. And it hurts to let go, but it doesn't mean that your relationship with your kid is going to fall apart. It just means that your kid is growing. Another thing that I want to point out is that this movie teaches parents to not hide things from your kids, especially when it's things that they're going to go through in their lives, like puberty or periods. When Ming was hiding the panda from May, it caused chaos because May didn't know anything. She basically had to figure out things by herself, and I think some viewers can relate to that. I am so sorry for the girls that didn't get educated about periods at an earlier age. That must have really sucked, and you guys didn't deserve to handle things like that by yourself. So I hope the newer generation gets more educated about periods and puberty, and doesn't just treat it as some sort of taboo subject. Also, if any parents are watching this video, talk with your kids. You don't have to tell them everything about the world straight away or your traumas, but just educate them about things little by little. Sure, let them be a kid first, but when they grow older, talk to them. Treat them like you would a person. Children aren't dumb. They can get concepts like good and bad easily, but don't push them away, please. And I'm going to stop there. So in conclusion, I am glad Turning Red exists because it can teach kids and parents about growing up, letting go, generational trauma, and not hiding things from your children. I know Encanto teaches kids about generational trauma on a deeper level, but like I said before, Turning Red focuses more on letting go and growing up and discovering your own identity. And that's what I really love about it. Moreover, I hope Turning Red gives way for Pixar to make more stylized movies with different stories, especially original ones. I don't want a Toy Story 5 or Inside Out 2. I just want original content, and I hope we see more of that from Pixar. Also, it was announced recently in October that Domashi is working on a new film. I am excited, and she will probably, most likely, improve on the storytelling part of her movies. Maybe she might make a masterpiece. We're going to have to see. Anyways, thanks for watching this video, and also thanks for 200 subscribers. I am very glad you guys are enjoying my content because I really love doing this stuff. Also, expect new sprites in the next video as well. And have a good day and night.